Now, going over to the culture part of the podcast, you have the Marvels may have cut a lesbian relationship as the movie is still on track to lose between 200 and 300 million dollars. Now, this is again another fascinating phenomenon that Disney is well known for. I should actually perhaps coin the term the Disney effect, a fascinating phenomenon in which you take a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy, and every time you do that, you actually degrade the image more and more. Fun little home experiment you can do on your little photocopier. And it's an instance where they're doing this with pretty much all their intellectual property. They just make a copy of a copy of a copy, usually injecting a couple political things, and inevitably you alienate a lot of the original fan base. You got a lot of people in the middle who are just they don't really know, and you do gain a couple. Don't get me wrong; they are gaining some new fans from this, but again, fiscally speaking, I don't think it's enough to actually offset the number of fans they're alienated, which is why you're seeing their stock go down, their sales go down. Lost about $2 billion in movies this year, which is for Disney pathetic to say the least. It's almost unfathomable when Disney, for most of my life, was considered a blue chip stock, aka a stock which you knew you were going to get rich overnight. There was going to be a big spike, like really knocked out of the park. But consistently over time, it would increase in value surely but surely, and just slowly go up. It was a very reliable stock. But Disney thought, you know what? Let's get involved in politics. Let's start to inject themes in these films, start to inject sexual themes in children's films. And you alienate about half your audience by default, as most businesses do inevitably when they take any political side, since the United States is on average probably about 50-50 for many issues. Now, this comes to us thanks to a website called Bound Into Comics, in which they note that there's a rumor that Marvel's originally featured a direct confirmation that Carol Danvers and Valkyrie were once in a romantic relationship. Which, again, you could debate. That's another debate in and of itself, is when you have these types of movies and themes. Are they supposed to be child-friendly? What is or is not child-friendly? And truth be told, that changes throughout time. Some might debate it's not benefiting society to have those changes. But as well as instances where there's certain people where some people think you should not have any kissing for a child film. There shouldn't be any themes of kissing. There's some people, truth be told, don't even want people holding hands in some of those films. That's why materials like the VeggieTales were so popular when I was a kid, because, well, I should say popular with certain demographics, religious affiliations, certain people, because they just wanted to have a cartoon that had a little bit of morals and values and didn't show certain themes that they thought were not child appropriate. So when it comes to these types of movies, I believe most Marvel films are rated PG-13 because, again, I would say it's a younger audience. And this is just another instance of them trying to inject something that a lot of people say it wouldn't have been natural. A lot of people speculate that they cut it because South Park has been roasting them so accurately in their Pandaverse special, where they literally have good old, yeah, it's a whole wormhole, so to say. Now, it looks like this is according to Bound Into Comics. Again, the specific author of this is Spencer Backcole, and they noted that, let's see here, taking place just after the opening scene in this film's second act, the scene in question sees Asgard's current king once again being portrayed by actress Tessa Thompson for a brief stop upon Carol Danvers' personal relationship, the Hootie, responding to the Kree super heroine's request for assistance in relocating a handful of Skrulls who temporarily homeworld had recently been destroyed by Dambar. Valkyrie beams onto the Hootie in order to personally receive and shepherd said refugees to a shelter in her domain of New Asgard. Upon arrival to the ship, Valkyrie is embraced by Captain Marvel, prompting the Asgardian leader to ask Kree-infused warrior, is everything okay? However, rather than the offer being anything verbal, Captain Marvel instead longingly holds Valkyrie's in her arms for a brief few seconds before composing herself and thanking her ally for help. Always, responds Valkyrie, briefly noting, I see you finally found yourself a team, unquote. Let's see here. Met with Danvers, Protestians, and the team was, quote, unintentional. Valkyrie attempts to calm her, the Avenger, by assuring her, quote, I've been on some unintentional teams myself. You can stand tall without standing alone. Take it from me, Marv. Informed that the Skrulls are finally ready to travel, Valkyrie then proceeds to close out her time in the Marvels by planting a kiss on Captain Marvel's cheek and wishing her, quote, may our next meaningful be joyful, before flashing back to Earth on the Rainbow Bridge. Rainbow Bridge. That's a bit on the nose. Really? I'd have to read the comics to know if that's accurate or if they changed that as well. Now, they also go on to say, and while inter-MCU cameos in the MCU are nothing new, this one caused specific confusion among the fans due to the fact that Valkyrie's only connection to any of the other film's three leads was her having a fought alongside Captain Marvel against Thanos during Endgame's Battle of Earth. However, according to a noted scooper, we get some toast. It seems that the true explanation for Valkyrie's appearance in the Marvels was actually left on the cutting floor of the room. Talking on Twitter on November 19th, We Can Get Some Toast alleged that per their sources, 3 major plot elements had ultimately been dropped from the final cut of Marvel's latest film. The scoopers list a 4th plot point involving Prince Jan's gifting the new comic accurate suit to Monica also having been cut from the film. That would later remember that scene had been factored in the Marvel's theatrical release. Let's see here. These include Kamala being unable to take off her bangle and subsequently being imprisoned and tortured by Dan Barron, her new costume being turned into a spacesuit, which would have been used to join Carol and Monaco to close the rip through the space-time together, and outright confirmation that Captain Marvel and Valkyrie were explicitly together in the past. To this point, We Can Get Some Toast detailed, the cut quote was, "We work better as friends, but Disney are cowards." Curiously, should Marvel have gone through with canonizing relationships between Valkyrie and Captain Marvel, one would have to wonder where it would fit in the MCU's timeline. After all, right after their first meeting in Endgame, Carol, as per the flashback in her latest outing, spent the next several years until the Marvels traversing the deep recesses of space and raining hell down on Hala. With a schedule that packed, one wonders where she'd find time to enjoy being part of Disney's ever-desperate attempts at rainbow marketing, unquote. And interestingly enough, there are some fun comments. So let's dive into comments and see what the folks are saying. Someone by the name of Andrew Fatamy says, quote, "The funny thing is that even the comics haven't gotten around to realizing this ship yet, but Marvel was so desperate that they tried to push it in the movie, even by bypassing the chronologically." Guest says, quote, "I'm guessing that they cut a ton of stuff out. That includes things that makes more sense in the movie than is now available. This at least was a smart thing to cut, not that it helped the movie make any more money." Yeah, the movie's losing money. Let's see here. Anti-Lamo says, "This would have totally made it sell more tickets," unquote. Raider968 says, quote, "I can only imagine the sound of these two 5-heads clonking together." And of course there was, let's see here. Can we get some toast? So let's see if we can pull them up on the good old Twitter, or as 8 people call it, X. Let's see here. Can we get some toast? Marvel. Let's see how Twitter's working today. Let's see. All right. So I got about 1 million views, and this is, again, the original post on Twitter from Can We Get Some Toast? Which, A+ Marketing, their profile picture is a picture of toast. So, makes sense. And they noted, again, this is the things that they were cut from the Marvels. And we already went over. And they have a couple pictures. Got about 904,000 views and 5,600 likes. Let's see here. Some of the top comments being... Let's see here. Nia said, this comes from Hunter, said, quote, "Nia said we're already going to be accused of being woke, so let's leave it to a peck on the cheek," unquote, getting 496 likes. Disney Scoop Matt says, quote, "I saw this movie for the second time yesterday, and I'm still mad people are sleeping on it," unquote. Got 717 likes. I need to check this profile picture out. It looks like it's a man, and he saw the film? What? Oh, wow. Maybe a man-child. I mean, clearly all of his posts are about Disney, so it's consistent. But, are you a guy? Have you seen this movie? I don't know any. I know a lot of my friends who are Marvel fans, and they have not seen this film. Let's see here. Cedric Pilter says, quote, "It's not coward, just unnecessary," getting 100 likes. Let's see here. RJ says this movie sounds like it got really messed up in the edit bay, getting 100 likes. Kyle Marcus says none of this would have made the movie better, getting 106 likes. Let's see. Yeah, so it looks like overall the comments are pretty consistent, saying a lot of people saying it would have made the movie worse. A lot of people, this one by name of Drew Back says, quote, I guess the Souls Disney isn't really that supportive to the LGBT community as we thought, unquote, getting 3 likes. Which again, I thought Disney was leaning into it. When I say it, I mean more the LGBT films and entertainment, which glorifies that community. Disney had been part of that community and supporting that community, and I suppose you could argue they were increasing their sales in that demographic. And again, overall, their overall sales are going down. It'd be fascinating to see the actual customer data, the ticket data, to kind of break down further where their sales might be increasing by that breakdown. But it is interesting that they actually cut this when, again, for a couple of years they've been kind of leaning into that new direction of the company and trying to lean into those new fans, those new prospective clients. So interestingly enough, it looks like they may be trying to lean away a little bit, but let me know. Do you think this was a mistake for Disney to cut this? Again, the movie right now is losing between $200 and $300 million. With this, leaving these scenes in, leaving the theme in, or this the plot point of having the lesbian relationship, would it have possibly increased the sales to make the movie break even, or would it have gone even more negative? I can't help but think with all the controversy around Disney and Marvel's, either way, I think the movie was going to lose money because, again, they make so much content. They went from quality to quantity, which is a different business model. The same reason you don't see a whole street of Ferraris unless perhaps you're in Beverly Hills. They make a very more limited quantity, but they put more effort. They put more There's a lot more effort put into it. Perhaps a better metaphor might be Aston Martin, which is a hand-built piece of machinery manufactured famously in England. I mean, those are much more rare. It's a piece of art, a lot of people will argue, as opposed to a Toyota Corolla, which is a great vehicle, but Toyota Corolla is the number one mass-produced vehicle in history by number of units sold. And it just means you have to have different materials, different expectations for sales. The sales per vehicle on a camera are going to be much less than an Aston Martin. Now, with Disney, I don't know. Again, they lost about $2 billion in movies this year, which they used to have. If you were to go back to the 90s and tell someone that, they'd think you were crazy. Because they're just at that time with the trajectory of the company, they just thought there's no way that could happen. But lately, Disney just keeps losing more and more money. I think they probably would have lost a little bit more if they were to put this into the film, because I think, again, they are alienating a lot of their, well, I say former fan base, what remains the remnants of the Marvel fan base. But let me know in the comments, do you think this is a good move by Disney, or a legend move by Disney, or not so much? I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you everyone again for taking the time to tune in today, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of November. So if you click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, the comments are a great way to leave me feedback so I can know on what things are better to invest in, things that I can work on, make the show better and better, and actually want to make the contributions even more effective, make the show more compelling, more interesting. So if you have feedback, I'd love to hear for it, even if it is harsh critiques. I think that is how you grow the most. Also, and lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.